Hi, my name's Carl O'Keefe. I work with Naval Ireland's Assistive Technology Training Service, and in this video we're going to look at the Sony DCS QX10 and in particular the potential it offers photographers with upper limb mobility or dexterity difficulties that may prevent them operating a conventional digital camera. The QX10 is what Sony are calling a lens-style digital camera. Although it looks just like a lens, it is in fact a fully functioning digital camera. The only thing it lacks that a regular point-and-shoot has is a viewfinder. Instead of building the viewfinder into the camera, Sony have designed the QX10 to connect wirelessly with a smartphone or tablet, which can be used to view and control the QX10. To do this, you need to install the Play Memories app, which is available on iOS and Android. As a result of this approach, we can use inbuilt accessibility features like switch control on iOS, or alternative input devices like a joystick on Android to control the QX10, and in this way make it accessible to people who would have difficulty using a conventional camera. Here we see the QX10 alongside the more advanced QX10, which works on the same principle. Finally, in this photo you can see what you should expect to get in the box when you purchase the QX10. For more information on the QX10, go to the Sony site or take a look at some of the unboxing and review videos here on YouTube. The rest of this video we will look at how to set it up for people in the user group previously mentioned. Mounting the QX10 is quite straightforward. There's a standard camera mount on it used on tripods or other camera equipment. The user group we're discussing in this video would probably be wheelchair users. So to mount the QX10 to a wheelchair you might use something like a Manfrotto variable friction arm or a RAM mount system. Possibly even a GoPro or a GorillaPod mount would work. I'll put links to all these in the About section of the video. Here in this example we use a gooseneck mount. Once the camera is mounted to the power chair, it needs to be paired with the mobile device running the Play Memories app. First of all, turn the camera on, then in iOS open Settings and select Wi-Fi. All going well, you should see the camera in the Choose a Network area of the Wi-Fi settings. It will be named Direct followed by some letters and numbers and ending with DCS QX10, so it should be easy to identify. The code to connect the camera is printed on the cover of the manual that came with the camera. I recommend the first photo you take is of this code so you have a backup of it in case you lose the manual. Enter this code, which is obviously case sensitive, and you should be connected to the camera. Next, browse to the Play Memories app and start it up. You should now be able to live view through the camera. Although in this video I have the camera mounted to a desk, if you imagine for a second it is mounted to a power chair. Although in this suggested solution the user cannot independently move the camera to frame their shot, they can move using their power chair controls, turning their chair into a moving tripod of sorts. One of the big advantages iOS has over other mobile operating systems is its inbuilt accessibility features. Here we will demonstrate the DSC QX10 being operated using the switch control feature available in iOS 7 and later. First you will of course need a switch. Here we are using a Bluetooth switch connector called an AirTurn. There are three modes available to switch control users. First we will look at item scanning. Item scanning highlights the active areas of the screen one at a time. When the required area or button is highlighted, the user activates their switch to select it. This allows an individual to control complex user interfaces with a single switch. The second way to use switch control is manual mode. In manual mode, the user will most probably have more than one switch so that they can manually move forward and backwards through the options until the required one is reached and selected. There is a disadvantage to using both item scanning and manual mode with the Play Memories app. Firstly, using both of these methods, the user will be unable to choose an area of the scene to find focus on. This is only an issue, however, when in the program mode, as both intelligent and superior auto modes will automatically focus. The second difficulty is perhaps more serious. When the Play Memories app is in video mode, switch control automatically changes to point scanning. I could see this causing some confusion among users. My advice would be to use point scanning if at all possible. Here we can see the Play Memories app being controlled using point scanning. When compared with item scanning, point scanning offers a number of advantages, but it's important to remember it is not suitable for everyone. The user needs to be quite accurate with the switch activation, even on a slower setting. However, because of the crosshair approach and how it scans the whole screen, it enables a user to click any area of the screen. This freedom is particularly useful for apps and games where buttons aren't defined and are more fluid. In this case, it allows the user to focus on a specific element of the scene when in the more creative program mode. As you can see here, bringing up the scan menu allows us to select further options. For example, selecting press and hold from the scan menu saves a significant amount of time when trying to zoom in on a subject. The scan menu is also useful when setting exposure compensation in the program mode. For this reason, if you are using the auto tap feature in switch control, you should make sure it is set for a length of time that will make it possible to access the scan menu if needed. This will be different for every user, but will usually be somewhere between a half and 1.5 seconds. Although I do not demonstrate it here, you can also access further settings from the icon on the bottom left of the screen. But for the most part, all you need to take photos and videos is available to you from this main area. Next we will look at the DSC, QX10 and the Play Memories app on the Android OS. The big advantage of Android for people with disabilities is that it supports alternative input devices for pointing, like a mouse, trackball, or in this case a joystick. You can either use a Bluetooth device to connect wirelessly, or connect a USB device using an OTG, that's an on-the-go adapter, which is what we are using here. Many power chair users use a joystick to drive their chair. Some of these controllers can double as a mouse mover and so can be used to access the Android device also. This could make a very nice, neat solution for a photographer who is also a power chair user. Connecting the DCS QX10 to an Android device is a similar process to the iOS, except possibly even easier. Just turn the camera on, open the Play Memories app. You do not need to connect to the Wi-Fi first in settings. It can all be done through the Play Memories app. Being a more direct access method than switch access, a joystick is a much more efficient way to control the camera. As the remainder of this demonstration plays, I'd just like to sum up what this relatively inexpensive mainstream digital camera offers. Because of the design of the hardware and the accompanying app, the Sony DSC QX10 enables 3 distinct user groups access to photography that would previously not have been able to do so. This is important because photography, as well as being an extremely useful and functional ability in terms of documenting and recording, also offers a great deal in the area of creativity and self-expression. People who are unable to lift, grasp or manipulate the controls of a standard camera but have the ability to directly access the touchscreen can most easily use this solution. Thanks to the switch control accessibility feature of iOS 7, both single switch users and multiple switch users can also operate the camera. And finally, we have people who use a joystick or a trackball on the Android platform. Thanks for watching the video, and if you try this out for yourself, please let us know how it went in the comments below. This is the first in a series of videos on using assistive technology for creative expression, so if that's an area that interests you, please subscribe. Cheers.